Stanley, what up, bro? How are you?
What's up, man?
You got your hair grown out, man. This is the first time I see your hair grown out like this, bro. Usually you waving. What are you getting done, bro?
Keep the top, drop fade, keep the seat up.
So something like this?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, so you can see the picture real quick. Kind of like a mid-drop fade. Keep the C cut. Try my best. That's a nice haircut in the picture. All right, let's get it. YouTube, what's going on, guys? We are going to try to replicate that haircut that you saw in the picture, except we're going to be using someone who's a different canvas. This is what he requested. He's a different canvas because he has a different hair texture. He has different density. His hair is thinner, it's finer, but nonetheless we're going to do our best to give him a fresh cut. So I'm starting off with that number 2 guard with the grain, and I'm really starting to cut right at the parietal ridge, cutting down because I want to keep a squared shape on top. And then we are gonna go ahead and leave bulk in the crown area because it does drop towards the back. So if you notice, when I go against the grain with that number 2 guard, or when I'm going with the grain, I'm staying around the occipital bone as opposed to going up too high to the top, right? So now that we've done a number 2 with the grain, we're doing a number 2 against the grain to go ahead and blast through the sides, lower it to put myself in a position where I can start my fade. Look at his hair growth pattern though. It grows to the right, and then around his hairline, where I'm at right now, it goes like straight back, like horizontally, right? So that's something to be concerned about as you're cutting. Not concerned about, but keep in mind, right? That's something to keep in mind as you're cutting. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start this initial guideline. We're starting with the skeleton FXs. I'm gonna go ahead and ball them out. Shout out to my cousin Tito Beats. I'm feeling this beat, bro. You killed this one, cuzzo. All right, so now we're gonna start our next guideline with the blade open. Notice that I'm dipping as I get to the front of his hairline, the temple peak, and the purpose of that is, you know, just to keep it dark for the lineup, because he did have the C cup with that fade. All right, and my next guideline is gonna be created with my 1 guard all the way open, and we're gonna go ahead and start to fade down from a 2 guard. Because remember, we started with a 2 on the sides, so that we're gonna go to that 2 guard, then that 1.5 guard all the way open, close it little by little until that guideline is gone. You may need to hop back to that 1 guard open, but it always just depends on the client. And I just jumped back to this number 2 because I wanted to kind of go up a little bit higher, but I was a little hesitant, so I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't create any line with that 1.5, so that's why I swapped back to that 2. All right, underneath where we just left off, look, I got that 1 guard again all the way open. We can close it about halfway, and then if you create a line by accident, just again slap that guard up above that, which was the 1.5, to go ahead and clean that up. Now, I guess what I noticed here is that there's like little dark spots everywhere. So before I moved on, I just wanted to see if I could, get those dark spots out. But it was taking a little too long, so I wanted to move on, get this bottom line out, and we'll go back to detailing that once we line him up. So to take this line out at the very bottom, we started with the clipper close, opened it up little by little until we're all the way open. And then if you see a little bit of a line, you just slap that 1/2 guard on, and that should do the job to go ahead and finish this blend. All right, so I faded down. So at this point, I'm just retracing my steps, fading up to try to improve the fade a little bit. Because there's definitely a lot of dark spots that I'm trying to, clean up. So on this side, I didn't record the part where I put in the guidelines, but just like the left side, all I did was start off putting the guidelines in, and now we're fading down. So number 2, 1.5 guard. We're pretty much just fading out each of these sections going down. Underneath the 1.5 guard, the 1 guard open, close it little by little. Beneath that, we're using our half guard to take out that line. All right, and once we've done all of that, we'll go ahead and start to take out that bottom line, which is the finishing point of doing a fade. So clip it closed, open it little by little until the blade is all the way open, and then we put ourselves in a position where we have a rough draft of the fade. We can start to clean up the back, connect the sides to the back, and then line them up and then detail. All right, so remember the back, it drops in the back, right? Just like in the picture. So we're gonna make sure that we stay below or on the occipital bone to give that look. So blade all the way open, and back here, instead of fading down, I decided to fade up. So we went ahead and faded that line out. Next step is the number 1 guard open. Now we're going to go ahead and start to blend that line out that we created with the blade open. So I'm going to use my half guard to go ahead and start to buff out that line of demarcation. And if there's still a line, just take off that half guard, go back to the blade all the way open, and start to clean it up. Angles at this point, I tell you guys, every tutorial is super important, so that's why you'll see me shift my angle and make sure that I'm cutting to a view where I can see it flow into the back, the sides flow into the back. All right, next step is my 2 guard. Then we'll use the 1.5 guard to start to fade out this section right here where you see the bulk, which is not going to be as easy as the sides because you have a protruding bone right there. That's the occipital bone. So you definitely got to spread the blend out a little bit in this area, more so than the sides. And I do the same exact thing from this angle. All right, let's go ahead and start to shape them up. Remember, that was the rough draft of the fade. We just went through our system. Let's go ahead and lace them up with the C cup. Try to make it as sharp as possible. And then because his hair is longer, I went ahead and grabbed that number 1 guard, went with the grain just to lower his hairline down so we can put a nice line on him. As I line them up, I can see, especially where I'm freehanding right now, there's definitely some imperfections there that I have to touch up. But it was way more pronounced when I lined it up. All right, so we got a nice natural line on them. And like I said, I got to work on this area. So I started with that number 2 guard open. I'm gonna fade down, and especially I'm gonna work especially in the areas where I see the imperfections. This is the first time that I've given him a fade. And I gotta tell you, I always knew about how crazy his hair growth patterns are, especially on this side. You'll see it's like cutting a completely different person on this side. But I didn't realize it as much in the past because we were always doing tapers. So I knew that this taper, I had to taper differently than the other side. But man, this fade is a whole different ball game on him. I want to cut it again, to be honest, because I feel like the next time I cut it, it's going to come out nicer. I feel like I ain't the only person that thinks like that. I'm not the only barber that feels that way. Like, sometimes, man, like, you just, outside of work, you be thinking about a cut. You know what I mean? Outside of work, like, and anxious to cut it again, because you know the next time you cut it, it came out good, don't get me wrong, but the next time I cut it, it's going to come out crazy. So we went ahead and started to put the razor on them. You can see the cut is coming together. The fade is looking good, especially from this angle. Especially after it goes to show what that razor will do. It's such a subtle touch, but it's a game changer. It just makes the cut pop. All right, and so now we're gonna go ahead and enhance it, make his hairline look fuller, more prominent. It was clean before. You guys saw the whole cut from start to finish. You saw it from start to finish. So keep those comments talking about if the cut was color, wasn't a real cut, because you guys saw me cut it. All right, so here I'm freehanding with the razor around the hairline because it tends to curl up in this area and around the parietal ridge as well. So I just want to smoothen that out with the razor, and I did that around the whole head.
Damn it, Tito. Another one?
Yeah, see, the cut is coming together much better. You guys remember all those lines and imperfections before, but we cleaned it up, and that's where you change the whole cut. It's in the detail section. So guys, that was the before. This is the after. I felt like I was struggling, but I came back strong, and I can't wait to cut his hair again. Hope you guys liked the cut. Hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. You guys know we drop daily content. We drop daily content. So if you're new to my channel, just know we dropping content every day when it comes to the barber industry. We touch on all topics. And with that being said, guys, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Go check out the 245 Academy if you want to take your game to the next level. We got way longer tutorials, more in depth, that are geared towards education. Y'all have a good night.